Alrighty, then we have many other set points besides temperature for the body. There's regulation of food intake, which has many molecules of interest. Here, we'll be learning about some of these molecules as hormones when we get to Bio 220b. At any rate, there are certain things that sort of, how shall I say, hit the regulatory buttons, glucose, amino acids being some of them, and then the outflow of cholecystokinin, CCK, ghrelin. There's other molecules like insulin and leptins that play a role, and altogether they regulate hunger and satiety. Okay, actual physiological hunger might be more predicated on the specificity of nutrition and a misinterpretation of when water is needed. So these two right here get confused in the human quite a bit. If you compare a human and a dog, for instance, dogs rehydrate to within a gram of their need. Humans have almost no clue whatsoever. So it's somewhat hilarious over at the dog parks when the dog owner, encourages their little dog to, don't you want something to drink, and the dog looks up at the owner with a sense of unconditional love. What an idiot this person is. I've just rehydrated within a gram of my need, and they're asking me this question because they're actually not as well programmed. Anyway, so we do have a thirst center, and I would actually operate this before I operated that. I drink water ahead of every meal that I take, partly because I would like to actually know about satiety and not confuse it with thirst. And so it's always good to be prepared for these areas of the human in which the some senses are less sensitive. Regulation of the sleep-wake cycle. If you go to bed at a certain time, you almost always find yourself waking up at a certain time, even moments ahead of your alarm sometimes, and you turn off the alarm before it goes off. So there are, and this is a special jelly bean of all the jelly beans, the suprachiasmic. That's one, it's right here. You see it? It's the suprachiasmic nucleus. And it's called suprachiasmic because it's just over the optic chiasma, or rather is to say the crossover. There's portions of our visual system in which action potentials are actually moving right through there. Here's the optic chiasma in cross section. They should be showing it connected to the optic nerve, but they aren't. But the idea here is that when the light outside gets dim and we move to evening, and we, of course, assuming that you don't have incandescent lights and so on, then this little guy right here, the suprachiasmic nucleus, will talk directly with the pineal gland, and you'll get melatonin as the starting signal, shall we say, for the sleep cycle. Everything in nature has it. Virtually every multicellular organism has melatonin. Some of them use it to rest by day and be active by night. Some of those species use it to go to sleep at night, as we do. Okay, humans actually have quite a range of nighttime sleep, and so there are some of us who are intended to be night owls. There are some of us who are intended to go to bed early. So try not to be prejudiced toward one another. Okay, so control of the endocrine system is also regulated here. A lot of the high-level control is at the pituitary. And so actually we have releasing hormones or inhibiting hormones, one or the other, to either stimulate or inhibit the hormones from the pituitary. So we're going to be spending a significant amount of time with that. Okay, then, and we'll be actually doing that in the context of hormones, not this chapter. Alrighty then, the hypothalamus can have disturbances, and oftentimes it's the internal medicine docs that are privy to a lot of this. Some of my best moments have been in in small groups in medical school, hanging out with internal medicine doctors of various subspecialties and talking about the nighttime and the daytime cocktail, which is what they use their language for the hormones in the molecules released in the human body to regulate what is the daytime or the, how shall I say, sympathetic tone of the body compared to the nighttime parasympathetic tone of the body. There's a division of labor. And so a lot of these things happen. Sleep disorders, obesity, various types of emotional imbalances, and disease states in general can accrue from the sequela of disturbances and can be seen in terms of vegetative function changes. So disturbances to the nighttime or daytime events. Okay, you look for that when you're an internal medicine doc. The epithalamus, also known as the pineal gland, is the center where we have the release of melatonin. And as I indicated to you, it's stimulated by light, in the diminishing light. And as the light diminishes, then we get the signal to become, how shall I say, groggy and start the sleep process. There's a number of things that go into that, and I'm going to be giving you a handout with regard to sleep. There is a person who runs the sleep lab at UC Berkeley. His name is Dr. Matthew Walker. He's a very interesting fellow, and I'm going to be sending you his talk at Google. He did a little talk at Google. It was recorded. He also wrote a book about why we sleep. It's a very fascinating book. Talks about many different species besides our own. He's also a psychologist and talks about how dreaming actually functions as a kind of psychotherapy that you get for free every night. So try to sleep long enough that you get to enjoy your dreams. Okay, so some of the best therapy happens at night. Alrighty then, so that was the diencephalon. And then we move on to the midbrain next.